Interior Secretary Ken Salazar announced this afternoon plans to split the Minerals Management Service. That's the government agency that regulates offshore drilling. As a response to the BP spill in the Gulf, President Obama wants to separate the agency's safety enforcement from its handling of oil leases. Congressman Issa of California joins us now from Capitol Hill. Congressman, welcome back to Bloomberg News. Always good to have you on.
Thank you, Mark. And as you said, the splitting up this very small 1,700-person organization, I look forward to working with the administration now that we have their attention. I'm not particularly pleased with this as an excuse for an agency that has failed to be overseen for years and has had two cozy. Well, we've had hearing after hearing showing this is an agency that is so cozy with industry, both on the revenue and the safety side, that we even had one of their inspectors, MMS inspectors, become pregnant. She thought she had to get that close to a lobbyist. So this is an organization that doesn't get the revenue and doesn't do the oversight. And its problems really have more to do with a mixed message. For example, in safety and environmental, Interior has all kinds of other organizations within it, including Fish and Wildlife and so on. It doesn't really need that. What needs to happen is this needs to be like the IRS, a freestanding organization, very much free of influence, but also having the scrutiny to make sure they're doing their job.
Well, Congressman, why doesn't just splitting it up achieve that same goal?
Well, if you split up an organization that's mismanaged, that has basically told us that they don't even make memos for the record of mistakes that cost billions of dollars, what have you done? You've created twice as many career people who haven't been doing their job. Real change in organizations usually requires elevating the awareness and the transparency, not splitting it into two even smaller organizations. If they said they were going to remove from Interior the revenue side and attach it to the IRS, I'd be much more interested in their proposal, because I think if you want to break up the conflict, let's talk about a revenue side that doesn't seem to do its job. Well, we all know the IRS is definitely willing to go after you if you don't pay your taxes. And at the same time, many of these safety operations are the same problems we've seen in other interior operations, such as the coal mines. So,
Congressman, how much support do you think you can get for your version of reform of this agency right now? I mean, this is something you've proposed in the past. Obviously, it's a bit of a hot-button issue right now. What are you hearing from your fellow congressmen?
Well, what we're hearing is that finally the administration, after this disaster, realizes this is an agency in trouble. If they allow for normal oversight and hearings, and if they make their proposal as a proposal and not simply we're going to do what we're going to do and then stay out of our way, then I think we'll have an opportunity to talk about really what would make this a good ongoing organization. You know, the 9 IG reports that showed some of the shortfalls there were from Earl Devaney, a man who we're trusting temporarily for a much bigger job of oversight. He certainly could come back and tell the administration they've got to do more than split it in two to fix it.
Yeah, Congressman, might I ask you, because these hearings taking place on Capitol Hill earlier today and this afternoon about what went wrong in that Gulf spill, what do you want to hear these executives say?
Well, to be candid, I think this is about big press opportunities for Barbara Boxer, who's in a tough re-elect, and others. It's not about real oversight. Real oversight would be, look, let's look at what we can look at now. Things like what caused it, how you prevent it, require that you raise the rig, that you deal with real legitimate oversight for a period of time. You know, investigations to a cause like this will take months, but they won't be in the news the way they are today, but you'd have the facts. I think Barbara Boxer is very much demagoguing this without all the facts, and I think it's a shame because there's plenty we know about what's wrong with MMS. There's certainly not enough we're going to know through a public hearing from these oil companies.
Well, Congressman, it seems as though we do know a decent amount already. I mean, our reporters have been looking at the logistics of exactly what happened underwater. We've had shots underwater where we've actually been able to look at what's happened. I mean, so it does seem as though we have a pretty decent idea. Do you think, for example, that requiring that there be a remote shutoff switch, as there is in other countries, do you think that that would be a decent start here?
Well, Julie, you probably aren't aware, but there is a remote shutoff switch. The problem is it wasn't a very good one. It was the so-called dead man switch, and it has problems. The acoustic switch also has problems. And since 2003, when a study paid for by the MMS told them that, in a sense, neither one was good enough, they did nothing to demand a new safety switch and an advancement. $1 billion spent by industry between 2003 and now probably would have prevented this.
Congressman, we have less than a minute left. What do you want to see done to prevent something like this from happening in the future?
I think this is a lot like Apollo 13. It doesn't matter what caused it. We need to determine, can it be prevented? Absolutely in the future. Can we retrofit 4,000 wells in the Gulf and around the world to make sure they're absolutely safe? And are we going to blame BP, or are we going to find solutions that make sure it never happens at any of the other wells? I think a lot of that is going to take hard work and a little less public ceremonies about blaming one company. If BP neglected to do what was the standard of the industry, then it's fine to hold them accountable.
Right.
But in addition to BP, we need to find out, was the standard of the industry too low? And I think it was.
All right, Congressman Darrell Issa, Republican from California, joining us from Capitol Hill. Congressman, always good to have you on. Thanks.